Alright, so we're going to sit here and keep on punching in all the white spots. Now if you notice, I'm going over all the dark spots too, but just lightly hitting them. I'm not putting a lot of paint where the dark spots are, but I want some, because I don't want it to go to 100% black. Now this E-Tack, if you had to, you could probably get away with just doing a couple of coats over it and getting it to where it's bright enough for a t-shirt without having to heat press it. But we're going to heat press it so we can really get this white to be white on this black shirt. Now if you notice in here, this all has kind of bone structure inside the skull. If you look at his actual skull, it's not just a hole. There's actually a cavity of bone in there. It's an actual reverse socket. You know, it has bone all the way in. So to get that more to look like a real skull, throw a little bit of texture in that area. So I know we got Easter tomorrow, and I want to thank everybody for hanging out today. I know a lot of people have Easter eggs and stuff like that to be painting today and tonight. Got to help out the Easter bunny. A lot of people don't celebrate Easter, but it's alright, I won't fault you for it. No. There's a nice true meaning behind Easter. If you believe in the book, if you don't believe in a book, then you go from there. So just keep on going over the white areas, and you'll get it to where basically it won't go any whiter. And that's when we're going to heat press it. When you get it to where it seems like you're just saturating the shirt and it's not getting any brighter, throw a little bit of bone structure in here. Then we're going to heat press it again, and what that's going to do, is that's going to lay this fabric, and basically like what we did with the clear binder. We're going to heat press it and get that white to become its own separate layer, and then we're going to be painting on top of that. Yeah, the paint's very forgiving. It's a Omni 4000. I think we said the needle and tip size is like a 0.35 or something like that. One thing about E-Tack is it doesn't have too much of a tip dry, but what you're also noticing, I'm not trying to do a whole bunch of real small thin lines. So anytime that you're using the airbrush at full open, you don't get as much tip dry. It kind of cleans itself off. Yeah, I hear you on the corporate world that you're talking about, Dave. It's a reason to go out and buy candy for yourself. How's that? Do we need a better reason for that? Yeah, sometimes higher pressure. Reducing the paint properly is actually the biggest part of getting paint to flow off the needle. This is white straight out of the bottle, and I'm using like 40 psi, 45, someplace around there. Okay, for now on it is not Easter, it's Daryl's birthday. So happy birthday tomorrow, Daryl. If it's still tomorrow, is it the same every year? Or does it change around? It changes around? Tax day every year. Ah. Oh. Your parents got gypped on their return. Oh. Alright. Well, happy birthday, Daryl, in a couple of days. Okay, so what I'm doing is just going in here and continue kind of sketching out the skull. Just kind of adding the very bright areas and kind of just fogging over the detail areas that we're going to be doing on this. You can see how bright the white is, and then how it kind of fades out. As soon as I spray, you can see it kind of just soaking into the material. Yeah, what are you talking about? Yeah, they're all about the same. All whites are pretty much the same. Some kind of work better with soaking into the fabric, laying on top of. But like Createx is designed for t-shirts, so you have a very big pigment on the white. So when you spray, it actually just lays on top of the material. It doesn't really flow into it. But no matter what, you're going to have some type of flow going into that material. The material's job is to soak up moisture. So continue brightening up the skull. I'm going to go back over the upper part of the skull here. And I'm getting a little bit of overspray. You want to make sure that your sleeves are tucked in. Make sure that you don't have anything sticking out on the shirt, just in case, because your overspray is going to hit the surface and then slide across where that spray is going. So you want to make sure that you don't have anything opened on the sleeves and all that type of stuff. Now I'm getting a little bit of overspray, but we're going to go back in with the jet black and hit it, and that'll take away all that overspray. So one thing nice about black t-shirts is that you have an eraser. Not like when you're airbrushing on white t-shirts. On white t-shirts you got to be very careful with where your spray is. Now, if you're doing a portrait or something like that, and you really need better projected lines than what you got, what you can do is cut out a stencil of the outside of the portrait. Spray the whole thing bright white. Go in there, heat press it, and then project on top of that. And then you can get a really good projection off of that, and that'll help with projecting stuff. Just another way of doing it. Now what you can do is come in and start adding a little bit of texture in here if you want. Just kind of get some of the bone flow of the texture. Make sure you get all the high spots on these bones, the parts that are really extruding out. Get those nice and bright. When I'm using a gravity feed airbrush, you could use a bottom feed and then you never have to really fill up the airbrush with white. Kind of makes it nice. One reason why I don't like gravity or siphon fed airbrushes is you should use a higher pressure to get that siphon to go. And I don't like spraying with that high of pressure. The response time seems a little bit quicker on the gravity feeds. And I like to tint my paint as I go. If you notice on the last t-shirt, we just kept adding black into the color cup of the airbrush. With the bottle, I'd have to pull the bottle off, pour it in, shake the bottle up, spray the tube out, make sure that it came out that color that we're using. Just requires a little more work. But it's not that one's right and one's wrong. There's no right and wrong. It's all based on preference. So you can see that it's still getting a little brighter. It's still dark compared to where we want to go. So with a portrait on a t-shirt, if you do the other where you base it out with white, you'd basically do exactly what we're doing here with the portrait, because your white is not going to be that bright a white. You're just getting it white enough to be able to project onto it. You're not going to go real bright white. You're going to go to where it's basically like this. You're still going to have to come in and get it brighter and darker. What I just answered. Alright. So this is basically the last white I'm going to do. I'm just going to finish up down here. And you can see how gray it is. It really is a grayish white. It's not that vibrant, bright white that we want. So this is where heat pressing in between your stages helps. Yeah, when you do a t-shirt, try to do your images as big as you can. I've even done skulls to where half the skull's off the surface, to where you just have this huge, big, giant front of the skull. Yeah, Wiki, it's almost time to heat press. As soon as you can't get the white to go any brighter, then you want to heat press it. See, like these, I've gone over them probably 4 to 5 times, and they're still not staying that nice bright white. So we're going to heat press, and I'll show you how that helps that white stay on top of the surface, not soak into it. All right. I think we're about bright enough. It looks like I could use a little more brightness in here. The rest of it seems like it's holding up pretty decent. So let's go ahead and brighten this up and kind of bring this as far out as we can bring it. But you can see how it's just soaking right back into that fabric. Alright, so now I'm going to go back upstairs and heat press this, and then we're going to come back down and still do some white. So anybody have any questions right now as I get ready to shut this down?